Welcome back, Terrifics, to your live continuing coverage of Toy Fair 2017 here in New York City. We are live at the Jacob K. Javits Center, and I am so excited. We're just moving through Toy Fair 2017 with some great guests, some great products, and really it's about the stories. The stories are phenomenal. And to help tell the stories, we've brought in a very special guest who's going to be part of the BeTerrific family going forward. We'll tell you more about that later when he's on for an interview. But Mark Salem is here. He's a mentalist. You can find out more on marksalem.com. Thank you for joining us, Mark.
And Mike, meet Mike.
Hello, Mark.
This is Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
And then we've got Lux
Blox.
Blox. Mm-hmm. And I was going to say that, but I lost my mind for a second because I was thinking about Mark.
I stole it briefly.
He stole it, exactly.
I washed it.
And here's the thing with Lux Blox. They don't look like blocks. That's why I was like Lux Blox. But they're Lux Blox. How did you guys create these?
My wife and I were big fans of Bucky Fuller and Frank Lloyd Wright, two American architects. And when we got married, we'd go to Frank Lloyd Wright's house up in Wisconsin and visit because we're kind of geeks, you know.
Yeah.
And we found out that Frank Lloyd Wright, Bucky Fuller, and Albert Einstein all claimed that their experiences in these special kindergartens kind of formed their whole life. So we looked into that, and it was true. This German guy named Freuble invented special little technologies for kids to use back in the 1800s, and it created all these geniuses because he was a scientist. So we wanted to make a block for the 21st century that would create new geniuses too.
So is the belief really that Albert Einstein and Frank Lloyd Wright were as smart as they were and able to achieve as much as they were really because just of some toys that they played with in kindergarten? They had to have some intelligence behind it,
It's
right?
interesting you say because that's what they say. They say that those early formative experiences, they never shook them. Like they kept going back to those blocks and those experiences in that kindergarten. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's what they're saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Is Falling Water your favorite of Frank Lloyd Wright's?
It's one of my favorites. Yeah, absolutely. Uh-huh.
And you've been to it? I imagine you've been to Falling
I have not been there. No.
Really?
No, in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. That's interesting. So then you went back and you say, okay, some blocks, let's build them. Let's build something.
We looked at nature. We said, well, how does nature seems to put everything together effortlessly, right? Us, rocks, suns, everything. So
and then you were like, no.
So we said what could one block do? What's the most one block can do? Could it do the atoms? Could it do molecules? Could it do cells? And we found out was one square block will imitate nature at a really physical level. So this one block will make like a fabric, it's squishy. But the minute you fold it, it's strong, like an airplane wing is strong. And they make airplane wings out of sheet metal, right?
Yeah.
It's corrugation. So
I said yep like I know. I actually have no idea what they make airplanes out of.
aren't strong because they're heavy, right? They don't make airplanes and aircraft and spaceships and cars out of bricks. They make them out of sheet metal.
Well, this was the underpinning of the geodesic boom, which Bucky did.
Bucky Fuller. Yeah, he made structures that were so light that it timed down because they wanted to float away.
Wow.
Okay. So this is the kind of action usually only architects think about. Like if you're building a building in California, you want your building to do this, so it doesn't explode when the earth moves, right? So it shimmies, right? Well, usually kids when they're building bricks, they don't get to experience this kind of exotic motion. With ours, it's natural. And we want this kind of stuff to be natural in the kids' play world.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It's very, very cool. So show me how some of these go together, because I don't want to break them apart.
Show me this. I'll show you this. This is one of our coolest ones. I'm going to take this from you.
Yeah, I'm passing the baton.
We call this the Flux because, again, these are all the same exact little block put together. But that's an action you'd only see like in a microscope, like a plant swelling up with water. The cells would inflate, right? And they go together like this. They're all the same block. We say you put the egg in the nest. That's the egg and that's the nest. So the egg goes in the nest like that.
I just put the lime in the coconut, but
that's good too. But those are both round. So yes, that's how they go together and they hinge.
So you put the egg in the nest, and then you have a hinge, and then you build from there. And is this for all ages?
You know, we say 6 to 116.
Wow.
But it's a good adult toy too. It really is. I mean, I usually say it that way, but it is.
You said it, not me.
I know,
I'm just going to point that out.
I slipped, yeah.
You know, it's funny because you were doing this whole thing before, and it reminded me of the Thigh Master, which I'm sure Mark knew.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Exactly.
You were thinking of Suzanne Summers.
That's correct.
That's true.
How did he know that? I'm not really sure. This is very cool. So, okay, the thing I don't understand is you find out about Albert Einstein and Frank Lloyd Wright and all this stuff, and then you do some research and you find out that that's true. Were you in the toy business before, or you just
No,
said,
my wife and I, she's an HR executive, and I'm a portrait painter. That's what I do. I'm Italian, so we kind of do carpentry, portrait painting, inventing toys.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying is like, how do you go from, okay, that's kind of an interesting story, and then I'd go around and tell people for like a month, you wouldn't believe this. Albert Einstein credits his genius for these toys that were built, and then that would be it. And you went and figured out how to make something that would be different but similar?
Well, it was really hard. It took me 20 years, so it wasn't easy.
20 years?
Yeah, it took me a long time.
Okay, so tell me about the process.
And that's once I decided to do it, my wife and I decided to make the toy. We bought a printer, a 3D printer. We put 4,000 hours in this printer making thousands of different kinds of blocks.
So you made one print that way, 4,000?
One at a time, yeah. And then we had this kid across the street, this 15-year-old German immigrant kid who was really smart and knew AutoCAD. So he could make my drawings into computer drawings, and he could email them back to me across the street, and I would print them.
Why didn't he just walk them? No, I'm just kidding.
We did that too.
Yeah. Oh, this is a crazy. Mark, are you following this? This is one of these crazy stories. So he 20 years in the making, he hears the Albert Einstein thing. Then he's like, oh, I could do something cool. Then what's in nature? Then he's got a 3D printer. So that wasn't 20 years ago, obviously. How'd you have a 3D
That was
printer?
five years ago.
You bought it.
He
though.
also does art.
Yeah, oh, he does art. So that's kind of part of it. So do you think that Albert Einstein credits his genius to this kind of, it's really about how he thinks. It's not that, I mean, he had the intelligence before, but this taught him and Frank Lloyd Wright how to think differently. Is that it?
That's a big subject. Like, how does Albert Einstein think? That's a huge subject. And a lot of people, Bucky Fuller wrote a book about it. Yeah. And he called himself a generalist. That general thinking is different than specialized thinking. And we live in a world of specialists where people are paid, they go to school and they want to specialize in neural something, they want to get down into the nitty gritty. But generalists are people who look at the whole thing, right? And people who look at the whole thing sometimes come up with the best ideas.
Einstein flunked math.
They thought he might have had learning disabilities.
He didn't speak until he was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
The opposite of me, by the way.
On the other hand, Bucky Fuller, had an artistic mind from the beginning. I think it's a matter, it is indeed the generalist kind of thinking. I think that nowadays there's too much specialization and you can't get out of your own box. This shows you can get out of the box.
I agree with that so much about not being able to get out of your own box, and I think we don't think out of the box enough in general. I think that's a really interesting point. And so, how do you just nature, it's your artistic background that really pushed this, and then you got
it helped me visualize.
Yeah.
But I even as a kid, remember those Time Life books you get in the mail, like Time Life, the Renaissance, Time Life, the Cowboys. Well, the Leonardo stuff, I was a huge fan of Leonardo at 9 years old. I was crazy about Leonardo.
The Ninja Turtle, right?
Yeah, exactly. But here's why they work. Here's the dirty little secret. Unlike Lego, which is a rectilinear universe, Lego makes a brick facsimile of everything. So if they wanted to make you out of Lego, they take a laser beam and cut you in a million bricks and reassemble you as bricks. The bricks had nothing to do with Michael.
Right.
You're not made out of bricks. Okay, but this
I thought it was made out of pixels. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Say the square makes triangles, the square makes diamonds, the square makes hexagons, the square makes prisms of other shapes. So it's like the chameleon of the shape world. And that's the magic of this block. You could do any kind of molecule. I got a molecule over there, like carbon.
Did I see a guitar, by the way, around somewhere?
Oh, you want to bring the
Yeah, I want to bring the guitar on.
That's the TIE Fighter.
This is
Yeah, I'll show you this.
Yeah.
So if a kid wanted, usually kids make a Lego TIE Fighter, right? And once they put it together, they better not drop it or it explodes. This thing, the kid could fool around with it. You could change the wing configuration, right? Because the squares will make the ball for the center fuselage. It'll make the pylon. It'll make the wings, right? But it's very versatile because the kid's thinking like an engineer. He's manipulating it like metal would.
Wow.
But it gives you quick access to. You want to bring the guitar over?
Yeah. Come on. Let's see this guitar.
This was made by a
Can I handle this? Do I have to be gentle?
The neck might break.
Do I have to be gentle? Oh,
yeah, the neck,
don't handle the neck.
Like any good guitar, the neck is kind of fragile.
Well,
this guitar was made by a 14-year-old girl named Sammy.
How did you know what I was thinking? I was literally going to put it here and strum it.
But you can see the way it's built. It's not solid. It's all hollow.
Yeah.
The whole thing is hollow.
It's like an air guitar.
It's airy. And exactly like guitar, you got like the maple front and the back and the sides. It's how, except for that this would be solid in real life, and it's not. So the girl who made this kind of just figured it out on her own.
A girl made that?
Yeah, she made it.
How old was she?
14-year-old. She was a sister of the German kid who was my draftsman.
He's keeping score at home. I'm not, apparently.
We have lots of child labor.
I am really impressed by that. 14-year-old did that?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think I could do that?
14 years.
Yeah.
Well, it took them 20 to come up with the product. Do you think I could bake that?
Yeah, it's easy.
Really?
Yeah. If you saw directions, it's the simplest thing.
You haven't seen me try to build
All
something.
you do, you make the flat outline of any shape you want, right?
And then
Yeah.
you build
And then
on
you
that.
build an even wall that goes all the way around.
So it's almost like you're 3D printing your project. That's how a 3D printer works.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it builds in layers.
Yeah. Lego's more like layers. This thing is more like here.
Well, give that to somebody.
hold the
I don't want it to
the neck
break.
is weak,
Well,
though.
you're holding it by the neck now.
Yeah, but it won't go and bend it. So basically, it's not layers as much as it's folds, right? So if the reason why the guitar has strength is because the folds have structure,
Yeah.
right? If you did it with Lego, you'd have a problem.
It's like corrugated cardboard.
It's exactly like corrugation. It's the same principle. It's called corrugation.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I like having him around.
Well, that's why he's here.
Yeah, the mentalist. I want him around.
I'm just so impressed by this. I really am. I'm.
Thanks.
And your story is unbelievable. So,
And it's made in the United States.
Made in the United States. Do you manufacture it? Do you have like a
No,
plant?
we have a.
By foreign children.
Well, no. Originally, it was by American children, only American children.
I'm kidding.
But now it's made. It's manufactured by the handicap. It's a nonprofit that does all our boxing,
Really?
packaging, what do you call it? Fulfillment. Yeah.
So, do you have this story where, I mean, at some point you have to decide to do this and give up your day job? I mean, there's got to be
This
like
became my day job.
right.
Yeah,
but I
this
mean,
is more-
was that a scary moment? Did you have to take a
Painting
second mortgage
portraits
on the house?
Painting portraits is really hard. My mom,
Yeah.
my mom. Oh, I just slipped. My wife.
I don't know. Freud would
Is
say
this on
that's
the
not a
air?
slip.
Are we live? No. Yeah.
It's showing.
Yeah. No, my wife she's a big breadwinner, and I was
Yeah.
a portrait painter. You know,
Yeah.
living the life. So moving into this became a serious business for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Lux Blox.
Lux Blox.
Where can I get them?
We can get them online, luxblox.com.
Yeah.
On Amazon, or you can go to we're about 400 retailers, and we're
Okay.
also Barnes & Noble.
And do they come in like a big container?
In a Lux box.
They come in a Lux box. Yeah, they come in 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large. It's really simple.
Okay.
And pretty soon, that's why we're at Toy
And
Fair.
supersize soon.
That's it. We do have
Yeah.
a super size. And pretty soon we're coming with a new. At Toy Fair, we're launching a new product.
What's that?
It's a lower price point.
Okay.
Different color boxes.
Well, so how
and
much
new
would
colors.
a medium be? How much would a medium retail for? And how many do I get?
Now a medium would go for 40. I think 45.
45.
Yeah, as small
okay.
as 20.
And how 20 pieces?
No, $20 for 66.
Oh, small
blocks.
is 20. How many pieces come in a small then?
66.
66 and a medium's like 100?
No, a medium's 166.
Wow. Very cool.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Nice to talk to
Luxblox.com.
you. Blocks with an X.
Blocks with an X.
Right.
That's why that has an X.
B-L-O-X. Yeah, here's your X.
And
right
made in
here.
America. You know, we're from Galesburg, Illinois.
Yeah.
Galesburg was the home of Maytag Refrigeration.
Really?
And so when NAFTA hit, we had like 30,000 jobs leave our town.
How many are you employing now?
About 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
But so when we decided to make this product, we were like, come hell or high water, we wanted to try to make it in our hometown.
Right.
And you can do it. You can totally do it. You just have to.
How did you do it? How did you do that?
You got to keep the labor footprint kind of low.
Yeah.
We're working with a nonprofit that trains the people with disabilities.
Right.
So that helps.
Right.
Because they're a nonprofit and they make it easy for startups like us to do it.
Right. And then, but I mean, all I hear and read is that we don't have the skills or the tools to manufacture in this country. And it sounds silly, but you read that everywhere, and then you read about companies like Shinola or like you who are doing it.
Well, you remember you went to middle school, right? Did you take a shop class in middle school?
Of course.
They don't do shop classes anymore.
I know.
In fact, there were Chinese companies. I mean, not against Chinese, but there were Chinese companies about 10 years ago going around the country buying schools' shop classes, equipment, and sending it back to China in a box.
Okay.
Because they're making everything now.
Right.
And then we're not training kids how to make anything. So whose fault
Well,
is
but
it?
this is what I'm saying. How did you do this? Like, how were you able to make it here?
We
if the tools aren't here?
We started in a barn with kids and their families paying them in pizza and toys. And that we just
But where'd you
ground
get
up.
the tools? You just bought the tools? Like,
Oh, no. Well, we had a 3D printer for prototyping.
But prototyping. But now you actually manufacture a product in the United States of America. How did you get the tooling?
We got the tool, and we have a company here that makes them here.
Right.
Yeah,
I got
they
it.
make it here, right
Yeah.
in Bloomington, Illinois,
Yeah. Not far from Chicago, right?
No, we're all in Central Illinois, Peoria, Bloomington, Galesburg. Yeah.
Very
Back
nice.
home.
That's great. It's a great story.
Thank you.
Luxblox.com. Congratulations. I really like it. What a great
Thanks for
story.
having
This
me
is-
on, Mike.
Thank you for being on.
Absolutely.
And you
Mark?
know, this
Thanks.
is great. This is very interesting
Nice
and
speaking with
good
you.
for kids to learn. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with a whole lot more right after this. Stay with us.